Hello and welcome to the Ellenmade Book Club. Today I'm doing the end of the year book tag. This tag was created by Ariel Bissett about 7 years ago, I think, and since then it's been a bit of a tradition on booktube, so no one tagged me to do this and no one has to tag you to do it either. If you do want a tag, then I'm tagging you now to do it. It's just a set of questions to make you reflect on what books you would like to get read before the end of the year and the next year ahead and goals and all of that. So yeah, let's just get into the questions. So the first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? I do have a few. The one that I'm in the middle of right now is Bird Eye by Judith Hennigan, and I'm about a third way in, and so I will be reading this in the coming week or so, and I'm pretty confident that I can get this done. I'm also currently reading The Blood Trader by Lynette Noni, and that is the third part in the Prison Healer series, and my goal is to finish at least one fantasy series this year. It's the only one I'm reading, and I'm pretty confident that I can get that done too, but that's a book that I definitely should be able to finish before the end of the year. Other than that, I started Mink River by Brian Doyle, which was a recommendation from Melinda at A Web of Stories. She has spoken very highly of that book, and I had it from the library, but I only got about halfway, and so I'm waiting to get it back from the library, and I think I need to read it like as soon as possible or I will forget what happened in the first half of the book. So that's one that I need to finish this year as well. And then I have two other books that I started over the summer that I never finished, and the first one I don't think I need to finish this year. It's a short story collection by Doris Lessing called The Grandmothers, and so far I've only read the title story, which is The Grandmothers, and it's only about like 60 pages, and so I have the rest of this left, but I'm not like in any rush to finish this. I finished the short story, so the rest are there to pick up whenever I feel like it. The other book, however, is the book that I was going to read from my big book summer by Sue Jackson, and I never finished it. I am on page 16 out of 580, and that is Hours by Philip B. Williams. I was really looking forward to this book, and I did enjoy it when I started it. It just is a bit daunting. It is big and it's poetic, and it's kind of a heavy subject matter with slavery involved, and I read a lot of heavy books this year, and so this one just took a bit more energy and willpower that I didn't have to get through, but I would like to finish this year if I'm able to. This is the one that's haunting me, and I would like for it not to be haunting me anymore. I do want to read it because I think it will be a good story, but it's also like yelling at me for not having finished it. Question number 2. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? I'm not much of a seasonal reader, I don't think. I don't go out of my way to find a book that fits the season, but I am in the middle of the Beartown series by Fredrik Backman. I have read the first book, and I'm reading Us Against You in November and then The Winners in December. So I think those are kind of, wintry books. It's about hockey, and yeah. I think the second book starts in the summertime, but I'm not sure how many months it goes into. Anyways, I'm hoping this will be a autumnal/wintry kind of read. And then I also have a book from the library, which I think will be very good for this kind of season. It's One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. And this is a fantasy book with like elements of tarot. And so that seems very autumnal to me, and I've heard good things, and I'm looking forward to this as a bit of a fun time. And I'm sure there's a bit of darkness to it, so like fun can mean different things. Question number 3. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? Not really. The only new release that I can think of is The King's Witches by Kate Foster. I read The Maiden in the spring, and she had a new book come out in June, I think. I think the reason I didn't get it was because it was only out in hardback and I want it in the paperback. But I'm also a bit hesitant now because I also read The Burnings by Naomi Kelsey, which is about the same historical event that The King's Witches is about. And The Burnings kind of scarred me emotionally and put me in a weird place mentally. So I'm not sure if I have the stomach for The King's Witches, or, you know, they might be writing those stories very differently, and I'm not sure like what the actual story of The King's Witches is other than the actual real event. But I guess that's the only one that I'm waiting for to come out in paperback. Question number 4. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I have a whole list of books for November that I want to read for the New November event by Curious Cat, and a whole list of books that I have been wanting to get to this year. But apart from the New November event and the Beartown series, which we're reading for book club, there are 3 that stand out to me as books that I really would like to get to this year. And the first one is a book that I also have from the library now, so I want to get it read, and that is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. This was first published in 1995, so it's not a new book by any means, and it says it was translated from the French by Ross Schwartz, which I didn't realize, but I guess it's Jacqueline. It's about women who find themselves trapped in some sort of underground room or something, and nobody has any idea of like why they're there or anything. So yeah, I'm very intrigued by this. The other 2 books that I would really like to get to this year would come as no surprise if you have been watching my channel before. The first one is Crooked Plow by Itamar Vieira Jr. This is set in Brazil, and I just find it very intriguing. It seems a bit weird, and there's a knife and a grandmother and weird things happening, and I'm very intrigued. It was also nominated for the Booker Prize, I think, or longlisted, something like that. Sorry, I'm not very expert at the prizes. The third book that I would really like to get to, I first heard about from Ben at Ben Reads Good, and that is The Mare by Angharad Hampshire. This is a fictionalized story about a female guard in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany. And so this will probably be a heavy read. It's written from her perspective and her husband's perspective, because after the war she escaped and went on to live this like regular life as a wife in the States, and then reality catches up to her. And yeah, I'm very intrigued about this story. It will take a little bit of emotional energy, but yeah, this just sounds fascinating to me, and I would really like to get to this as soon as possible. Next question is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Honestly, any of these that I have just mentioned. Ours, Crooked Plow, The Mare, I Who Have Never Known Men, and Bird Eye. I think all of these are good contenders. I have read a few really good books this year, so it would take a lot for a new read to step into first place, but it's not impossible. And yeah, I guess I just have high hopes for all of these books. Maybe not first place, but yeah, I think all of these will be really good reads. And then the final question is, have you already started making reading plans for 2025? Yes and no, I guess. I have made plans for making plans, kind of. I would really like to do a sort of year in review kind of video and just sort of assess what goals I had for this year and how I did on that, and if there were things that I had wanted to do this year that I didn't and that I can take with me into the next year. For now, it's mostly kind of, I would like to read a little bit more nonfiction maybe. I would like to read some more fun things. I want to mood read more, I think. I mean, the biggest goal is still to have fun with my reading and for it to be enjoyable and not feel like an assignment or a chore or like stressful to keep up with whatever for events or for my own like reading list. And like, I don't want there to be any stress. I want it to be fun and relaxing and bring me joy and, you know, self-development and all of that, but like not in a work kind of way, just in a making myself feel good kind of way. I'm not in competition with anyone else, and I'm not in competition with myself. I don't have a goal to read more books next year than I did this year or anything like that. So it's more about like what kind of books I would like to dip my toe into more and like what feelings I would like to have next year, I think, if anything. And then there are, of course, a lot of books that I would like to get to. That's also something that I will be looking at and like see what books I would like to prioritize so that they don't all feel super important to get to. I would rather have a selected list of like, these are books that I really do want to read at some point and focus on that and then mood read for the rest of it. I think that's my general plan for now, but I would like to get that into a little bit more detail and figure out which books those actually are. Yeah, those were all of the questions. This was a really fun tag to do, and I think it's really good to take stock of the year before it's over, because then it's too late. But like now there's still a chance to, you know, correct your direction. Feel free to do the tag yourself if you have a channel, and if you don't have a channel, you can pop your answers to the questions in the comments. And if you don't want to answer all of the questions, I would just love to know which 3 books you would like to get to before the year is over. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.